What? Hello again YouTube and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla, and today I'm driving something really spicy. BMW M5, Audi RS6, Audi e-tron GT Quattro, Taycan GTS, Aston Martin DB12 or Vanquish, McLaren Artura. All of these cars are slower than what I'm driving today, which of course is Tesla Model 3 Performance. Oh boy, this is going to be quick. So yes, once again I am back here in Tesla Aberdeen, and thanks very much for setting this up, guys. I really appreciate it. Anyway, I have got this Model 3 Performance for the weekend, and oh boy, is this going to be fun. So let's just do a quick walk around of the car, because there are some obvious things to look at. To start off with, we've got this quite aggressive looking lower splitter, which you definitely don't get on the standard car, even the all-wheel drive. You have got these race set up Pirelli P0 tyres running on 20-inch rims, which are pretty aggressive looking, complete with red calipered brakes, and the brakes have been upgraded to give you that extra punch of stopping power. I was asked earlier, does it come with a body kit? And the answer is, well, not really, but it just has a few tweaks here and there. So on the back you have got this carbon fiber spoiler, and it's not just stuck on, this actually adds downforce. And similarly, you've got a kind of rear diffuser, a little bit, just to be able to channel the airflow through. And of course you have got all of the usual aerodynamic guins that you get on a Model 3. This is not a plaid badge, before anyone gets confused. That's the new performance badge. It's not plaid. This is bonkers. It's not quite as bonkers as a plaid, although when I say that it's bonkers, it's actually insane, because I've just gone into this car and been having a play with the settings, and look at this. If you go into dynamics, insane. Yes, of course we're on the acceleration mode on insane. Why on earth would we not do? So I'm going to get out of here and then we're going to have a drive back. And the good news, of course, is that because I've got this car for the weekend, there are multiple videos to come. So please make sure that you have subscribed, because there is an awful lot of content to come at you fairly soon. So hit the bell icon as well so that you'll know when those videos drop. Okay, I am now going to go and drive the car. So I'm going to do a bit of a tour of the inside of the vehicle a little bit later on. I'm going to do a proper tour of the vehicle versus my Model Y on a forthcoming video. For the time being, I'm going to get the GoPro running and we're going to see what insane mode feels like. Let's get ourselves out onto this main road with nothing really coming. And it's and that was with a rolling start. I have done one off camera from a standing start, and well, let's put it like this: the seatbelt has tightened up because it thinks that we're in an accident. It has to be said that this car is certainly harder riding than my Model Y, but then again, I have got it set on sport dynamics, which means that the adaptive suspension is locked down and as hard as it gets, really. We need to go. Wow. Wow. Yeah. There's going to be quite a lot of me giggling like a small child on this video, I think. That acceleration is just bonkers, utterly bonkers. But then you get to a nice twisty bit of road up here, and I do know this road, okay? I do know this road, and I can just basically stick it neatly into any of these, and I'm not going dramatically fast, but it's like it's glued to this road. It is like it's glued to the road, which is unusual. certainly compared to my Model Y, which always feels like it's handling very nicely, but not quite as well planted as this. The point is, and it's kind of an important point, the super hard sports suspension setting that this is on makes this car really rock hard compared to what I'm used to in my much saggier Model Y, especially the Juniper, which really is saggy compared to the previous one. You know, it's much saggier. 30 to 60. I think I need to say warp speed now before I do that. Riding along here, even with the car in the firmest setting, on this road it is extremely comfortable. It's certainly jiggly. It reminds me of when I've been in an S-Line Audi or an M Sports BMW. I've never driven an RS6 or an M5, but I have been in cars that have got that, hey, you're a sales rep and you need that rock hard sporty look, so we're going to give you no suspension. I've been in cars with that kind of suspension and it feels kind of like this, so it's not any different. And this is it set on the hardest of hard settings, but if you don't like it like this, then simply change the ride off the setting that we're on now and just go on to standard, and then it just loosens everything up a little bit. And I can already feel that it's a bit more pliant, and it's already in the settings so that if you go on to autopilot, it will automatically put this mode on. So it assumes that cruising down the motorway you want to be reasonably comfortable, which is true. And then when you don't want to be reasonably comfortable, you can go back into dynamics and put it back onto sport, and then have a little bit of fun around the roundabout. You know what? The all-wheel drive really does mean that you grip like crazy, especially on these sports profiled tires. So these Pirelli P0s. I will be honest, from my experience, Pirellis are utter garbage. I've had P6000s, I've had P0s. I despise Pirelli tires with a passion, but so far these haven't thrown me into a ditch. The old ditch finder name for Pirellis hasn't happened so far, but there is still time for it to go and find a ditch and then hoy me off into a field. This video is brought to you by Millibricks, the online store for military-themed Lego-compatible brick-building toys, such as this superb Lancaster bomber. We've got all kinds of incredible machinery in the Millibricks store, so if you go to millibricks.co.uk and check out the collection and use the code GET at checkout, you'll get 10% off. Meanwhile, back to a different kind of rocket. Okay, traffic has cleared and now we can go and have a bit more fun. So, it's a 60 limit. We have got a nice twisty bit of road. Let's make some progress. So, first of all, the one pedal driving regen gives you that level of confidence that you can actually lift off and the car will slow itself down into a bend without causing you any particular issues. The brakes, of course, are good, very good, upgraded brakes versus the standard car, which, if you really need the brakes, is good to know. But as I say, we are going to try and make some progress. So yeah, I'm going probably slightly quick into there, and it's absolutely fine. It tucks itself in and it reduces sort of the amount of wash, and obviously all-wheel drive is really useful in that kind of circumstance where you've just gone slightly fast into the bend, because all-wheel drive plus regen does mean that it will tuck itself in. But of course, if you can then apply the power, you're getting power from both front and rear motors to be able to really drag you around. Again, this is I'm going down here at a reasonable lick, and it's it's acquitting itself quite nicely. The nice thing about this, even where the road is quite broken up in terms of tarmac, is that it's not uncomfortably harsh. You know, this is faster 0 to 60 than a McLaren Artura. Yes, of course, it's not as exotic as a McLaren Artura, and I am quite sure that that would be violently harder along here with this broken tarmac if I was driving it. But of course, it's also going to have cost
$1 million
versus the 60 grand that this costs. It's significantly cheaper. And okay, maybe it doesn't make the same noise as a McLaren Artura. And I know that noise is one of the arguments that has people talking about whether a car has got soul or not. And it's one of these arguments that I don't really understand. It's a mechanical contraption. It's not a person. It's not got a soul. It's making interesting noises, but I'm less bothered about the interesting noises, frankly, than I am being able to just waft along in almost silence whilst accelerating at ludicrous speed. Again, you can just, love that. I mean, you can just feed it into a complex bend and apply some power as you're going around it, and it just tucks in neatly. And here's the other point. We're going along this road and it is a bit lumpy bumpy because I've got, again, the suspension on the hardest setting there is, and I have picked a road which I know has got broken tarmac, and I can certainly feel it. This is not like my Model Y where they have made it so that it's relatively smooth. You can still chuck it, but it's a bigger car, it's a heavier car, it's a higher car, and you can feel that. This obviously is lower down and lighter and squatter, so it's going to ride better despite the fact that it's got the suspension set on harsh mode. Again, let's just, it's, it just keeps going. Absolutely love that. But here's the point I was going to make before I hit that complex bend. Despite the fact that the ride is quite firm and quite hard, and you can feel the jiggle coming up through the chassis, it is better, and a lot better, than the suspension was in my previous Model Y, when it had the original 2022 suspension. Now, if you recall, if you've been on the channel for a while, I had most of the suspension parts changed under warranty, and the 2024 suspension that went onto it was a lot better. But versus the previous early suspension, even in its harshest setting, this is better than the Model Y. And the point is, there's nothing rattling in here. There's no noise in here. You're not getting stuff obviously vibrating itself to death the way that you used to do in that Model Y. It is so much better built, this car, than my previous one. As somebody once put it, the refreshed Model 3 and the Model Y, it's like Tesla started building cars using the instructions rather than just guessing at how do we screw things together. I think it's that big an improvement. Ready for this? You know what though? With a standing, with a rolling start like that, it's bonkers, but it's not as bonkers as when you're absolutely standing still. That initial punch is just absolutely ludicrous. Yeah, but as I've been discovering, this car is also very good at going around bends, so it's not just a one-trick pony. It can hustle itself. And okay, so it probably isn't the same chassis management as a hypercar. Certainly isn't. It's a family saloon. It's not a McLaren. It's not an Aston Martin. It's just got more acceleration than they have. And alright, so maybe that is a little bit one-trick pony compared to them, but they're also hugely compromised in so many areas that this is not. This is a perfectly serviceable family bus. It just happens to have hypercar performance, because 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, you know, would be ludicrously fast at any other time, until recent years where suddenly we are into this war of attrition where everyone is trying to come up with the craziest performance numbers possible. And you know what? Tesla are significantly responsible for that. They equipped the Model S with Bonkers. And everyone said, hey, we've got to have that to be able to... Yeah, it's slightly scrabbly around there, but only slightly scrabbly. And that's despite the fact that it's warm and I'm on lovely tyres. So you can't go insane speeds around bends because you've still got to actually be able to grip. But what of course it does mean is that you can then recover the pace much, much, much quicker. I mean, look now, I'm not accelerating hard. That was maybe, I don't know, 25% throttle, and it just picks up its skirts and runs. So even if you're not smashing this thing as hard as it'll go, it's still rapid, seriously rapid. It's just, it can be absolutely bonkers. Right, we've got ourselves a nice straight bit of road, so oh my, it's yeah, it's the feeling in your stomach, right? It absolutely thumps you in the guts and makes you go I've put some willing volunteers in the car, and we're on our way down to do a little bit of how fast does this car go, and they haven't felt what this thing can do. I've driven very gently so far, so it's it's going to be a bit of a shock. Are we ready?
Go on then.
What?
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Should we see if the shock factor's there the second time?
Yeah.
Again, there's nothing in front or behind. You ready?
Yeah. Oh my God. That is insane.
You know how the dynamic setting is
Yeah.
hang on, what's the word? Insane?
Yes.
It's insane acceleration.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was like shoved back into the sea.
Oh, it's bonkers.
Crazy.
We'll go up and turn around and go back, but like we
Yeah.
can do another couple. But the point is, from any speed, so we're at 35 miles an
Yeah.
hour. It's I know. It's the only reaction is, oh
Yeah.
my God. So what's the summary then? What do we think?
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. I never need to go on a roller coaster again.
Oh, you do.
Damn fast.
But it's also the fact that at any speed you just do that.
Jesus.
It's mad. It is completely and totally mad. Yeah. One of the joys of YouTube is that I get to do things like this, and I'm effectively working whilst I'm doing this. Look at this view. Of course, it helps that this view is about 5 miles from my house. I am blessed to live here. I think I'm also a little bit blessed to have been loaned this Model 3 Performance. So I'm recording this on day 3 of my 3-day weekend with the Model 3 Performance, even though you're seeing it on the back end of the first video. So there's 2 more videos to come in this series, and make sure you have subscribed, because honestly there's a whole load of fun still to be had, as well as an explore as to Model 3 versus Model Y. But it has given me the time though to actually think about and reflect on what I see as the good and bad things, if there are any, about this car. And although I'm just dawdling along this single track road, because with respect to it I'm looking at the view in a minute, we're going to go and spank it again. What I really appreciate about this car is that despite having supercar performance, it's not supercar wide. I have driven this down narrower roads than this with a lot more traffic and not really had an issue. Watch for the 3rd video in this series to see what that's like. So if you want mega speed, this car has got it. But also, it's still car-sized. And that, I think, does make a really big difference. We also discover in the second video of this series that this is an extremely practical car. You can fit an awful lot of stuff in this car, which again you probably couldn't do if you were getting something like the McLaren Artura, which again is slower than this car. Alright, those other cars might make more interesting noises, but this does have an excitable whine when you spank it. And I have spanked it a few times. It's never boring driving this car. But I've also found that the road holding is good. Again, you've seen bits of it in this video. Watch the third video for some real thrashing. The road holding is really good in this car, but then again, it has been lowered by, I think they said ½ an inch, a centimetre and a bit, something like that, versus the standard Model 3. So it is hunkered lower, and you've got the rear spoiler just putting a little bit of downforce in, and you can feel it. Obviously, all-wheel drive really helps as well. So you've got instant traction. There are a few issues, and they're not really Model 3 performance issues as Model 3 issues. And I am going to say steering wheel buttons. And look, I'm one of the people who said, steering wheel buttons, they're fine. And they are. It's just there under my thumb, but a stalk would be better. It just would be. So there is an element of, come on Tesla, you've put stalks back onto the Model Y. Why don't you put a stalk back onto the Model 3 as well? I think everybody would thank you for doing so. Now, I'm not going to go particularly fast on this bit just because you've got farm accesses and other things, but in a minute we'll see how fast it can accelerate uphill, shall we? We've got a very steep section of uphill coming, and I am curious as to what it's like banging itself up the hill. So you can see the hill coming up here. It looks steep. The sign says that it is steep, and we're going to get, there's nothing behind me, so we're going to get onto the absolute steepest bit of this hill in a second with a straight line. Wait for it. Wait for it. Yeah. It doesn't care that it's a 17% grade. It just doesn't care. And it's the kind of power that becomes addictive. I can understand the Tesla owners who've got this car and rave about it. Similarly, if you're in North America and you've got a Model S or a Model X Plaid, especially the S, because obviously it's even quicker, I get it. I've even done the stupid acceleration with the family in the car video, as you guys have done. And yeah, they loved it, as you've just seen. So there is something genuinely entertaining about this thing, but you can't have it so that you're being silly all of the time. But what I do appreciate though is the fact that because it has got adaptive dampers, you can change the settings. So this is in sport, and it is a bit cluttery and bumpy, but I can go back into standard. And the difference is immediate. The difference is really notable. It just smoothens everything out. It's still harder than my Model Y, but I don't think it's any harder than my previous Model Y that had the original suspension, if that's a valid comparison. The fact that you can adjust it, okay, and then if you go into track mode, the fact that you can adjust front and rear bias, so you can have the thing effectively rear wheel drive for oversteer and front wheel drive for understeer, and you can turn things like the stability control down or off completely, stuff like that. Great fun. But if you just want to dial everything down, you really can do. So I'm sat with this still in intense, insane madness acceleration, but let's go to chill. Suddenly this car's a pussycat and it's purring. And it's happy to just meander its way along the road. it's even efficient while it's doing so. This car does everything, is what I think I'm saying. It is the ultimate GT weapon, and again, keep watching my videos, because in 2 videos time you're going to see me taking this car on a 250 plus mile GT cruise and having an awful lot of fun with it. But at the same time, if you don't want to be Mr. GT weapon, you can also load the family and load a lot of luggage, watch the next video, and just waft along. It really is impressive the way that it can do a bit of everything. And I do say that with real admiration. They've pulled off something with this car with acceleration that smashes you in the gut so you go, oh wow, but also it's a family car and it's car sized, and you're not going to be worried about taking it into all kinds of places that you would if you bought something that was truly exotic and quicker than this. Do you actually need 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds? Absolutely not. Is it nice to have? Sure. Yes, it is. So, as I stand here on the harbour side here in Gardenstown in Aberdeenshire, what do I think of the Model 3 performance? Well, it almost depends on which Model 3 performance you're asking me a question about. Is it the purring pussycat where you dial everything down and just let the thing drift along? Or the family cruiser where you can fill the boot with ridiculous amounts of stuff and you've got plenty of room for everybody to be able to travel? Or is it the angry, aggressive, insane acceleration monster which can jump across any route you like, down any twisty road that you want, and just keep laughing as it just applies more and more and more power? I think the answer to all of those is the Model 3 Performance does a bit of everything, and it does those things very well. There absolutely are cars out there which handle better, and they cost a lot more too. There's cars out there which make nicer noises, if that's your thing. But why do you need noise when you're so busy laughing that you wouldn't be able to hear the noise? Because that's my reaction to this car, is just to laugh. It's almost absurd how fast the thing is. And yet it's 60,000 quid, which is a fraction of the price of all kinds of exotica, which aren't even as quick as it. How do they do that? And more importantly, why do they do that? If you're Tesla, you could do an even beefier version of this and charge a lot more, and people are still nod and go, yeah. So I think this is a bit of a bargain, really. Yes, there are cheaper ways of getting into a Model 3, but there's not cheaper ways of accelerating that quickly. And on that interesting note, I'm going to leave it there. Don't forget, there are 2 more videos to come in this series with this car, exploring different features. So make sure that you've liked and subscribed and hit the bell icon so that you know when those videos drop. And I will see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.